So, in changing the subject completely, I've just watched second episode of The Book of Boba Fett. Now, I didn't think too much of the first one, but understood that it was setting something up. It's like, I've taken over. And it's like, this place you're in, this great big empty studio, doesn't seem like you run very much of anything, Boba. It's like, really? It's like, is this what we're being fed? Where, you know, the mayor's taking the piss, and it'd be a matter of, you fucking people don't get it, do you? I like that. I like how they've played it. It's like, you people know nothing. And it's like, it's shaping up as to where, when Boba walks into Jabba's palace and shoots Bib Fortuna and just kicks him out of the chair and says, I'm taking over this place. It could well be he has already taken it. It's like he's already earned it. And it's like, how could you do that? Just lay claim to like Tatooine as a fiefdom. With force. Muscle. And it's like, it's not just me walking through the door here. It's the fucking Tusken Nation. Hello? Turned him into highwayman. And then with like a turn of phrase of the guy who's, you know, laying down the law, because that's what he does. That's the thing. This is a story about a lawgiver. It's like, this is a lawgiver. It's like all your great sort of mythical heroes are lawgivers. So it's like, he's the Tusken Messiah. He's someone who just turned up one day from the desert and fucking changed everything and laid down the law. So to them, it's like, wow, this guy, you'll do for us. It's like he immediately changed their lot in life as to say, if you go through this desert, you pay a toll. And it's a matter of, you know, that's fair enough. It's like, is that fair enough? It's like, we demonstrate to you that we can fuck with you if we want to, and look at all the mess. Look at all the mess. But you still need to be here, and we're going to be here. So if you, unless you fancy like war, when we've now got a measure of you, you pay us a friendly tax to go through our territory. How about that? So all of a sudden, in taking a toll, the Tuskens become like part of the world of commerce because they're taking money off people. It's like they've become immediately civilized. And in sort of, it's like there are many Tusken tribes, like, no, they're going to be one soon, isn't there? Like, what? It's just because we're going to teach them the new law. This guy who understands us and speaks the basic language, because none of them do, be like, look, we've been here a hell of a lot longer than you have. And you just don't understand it. We're not speaking the same fucking language here, are we? So Boba sits there having a drink in the sun, in the shade. You pay a fucking toll. Like, boom, it's like earning. It's like by way of power, right? It's like, this is power. It's like he's recruited the Fremen. And they're like, hey, he'll do for us. Not that they worship him, that they're like, oh yeah, he's our guy. He turned up one day, slayed a mighty beast, stopped the fucking machines, brought us a lot of bikes back, taught us how to control things, ride speeders. It's like, Tatooine as his desert, as the Star Wars sort of science goes, that speeder is like the just perfect means of transportation on that fucking place where there's Tatooine as is in Star Wars. It's got like 4 settlements worth talking about. That one that they're this one's centered around is near Jabba's palace. I actually remember some of it. It was a geography, so it's like Mos Espa. Then there's like Bestine and Mos Eisley. And it's like, other than that, it's just places to stop. It's like there ain't nothing there. So it's like a great big fucking desert. Settlements thousands of miles away from other places. And why is this something that's viable? Speeder. It's like, it don't matter if you do 300 mile an hour in a straight line if there's nothing. And he's given the Tuscans money. And what are the Tuscans going to do? My suggestion is they'll do what the Red Indian man, I'm sorry to use that term, did when he discovered the horse. Because there were no horses in North America until European people brought them. Seriously. None. They're not a North American thing. The Indians stole horses, set them, and you know, that's the notion, wild horses. They used to target them, steal them, and then just let them breed like crazy. Well, in the world of Star Wars, that translates as just logic. We're not talking whatever you are, Tuscans, Indians. If a new mode of transportation comes to you, and then all of a sudden it's a matter of, hey, we've got money. They're going to have to stop paying us. What do we buy with their money from them? Speeders. Jesus, it's almost like, the lion is like the king of the jungle, yeah. If someone could speak lion and came along and says, see this, motorcycle, he'd be like, it'd be a fool not to, wouldn't it? So it's like the Tuscans on Tatooine, as they are from melee hunters and guys with muskets. Because that's what they are actually. It's like, it says that they've laser guns, but actually them Star Wars lasers are actually a kind of projectile weapon that relies on like gas. That's why it's like they're not lasers really. They're a kind of plasma gas weapon. And the way they've tried to give science to it, it's like, well, it kind of makes sense. You're shooting like a condensed fireball or something like that, and it's been projected using light as a medium to fuck it, it's just nonsense, isn't it? But yeah, they've got like very primitive weapons. You see that tonight where they raided a train. It's like a loot crate, weren't it? It was like a video game where, you complete the level and you get a load of loot crates and they all just pop out of it. It was like that, and that was funny. It's a reflection of the imaginations of the people who play the game as to where they are. It was like something out of StarCraft 2, when all the loot falls out of the train when you stop it. It was very funny. But what did they get in them crates? What was in there? Weapons, much better weapons than they have, but very, very similar in that you kind of point and shoot. And it's like, oh, Tuscans with better weapons. Ain't that funny? And then, strangely enough, with, you add a tax. Boba's taking the planet, hasn't he, at this stage here? So I'm looking at trying what the story is, because this is being told in flashback, isn't it, this? We've got Boba laying claim to being, like, they're using the term Daimo. That's like Warlord. That's a Japanese thing. That's like, see me. Ability to project force. See these guys, these are my brothers, like family. See this army? Demo, warlord. Not a Star Wars word, a samurai thing. He's the demo. What does that mean? Well, he's got all the power. What does that mean? Well, he can just have you killed and no one will stop him doing it. There's no higher authority than the guy who controls all the warriors. That's like samurai culture. Now it's like warriors, like Tuscans, they can respect that. Like, you can earn the respect by treating them fairly, fighting them like men. So it's like, what that would do is would bring peace through strength. Peace. And it'd be a matter of, well, we don't have to like ransack the place. We're actually all right here. Our lot is better. It's like we've no interest in like going to full because we've not got tanks, you know, and we'll probably never get tanks or spacecraft. So the desert's ours. And we now are going to control it. Control it. But control it in a civilized fashion as to where we don't kill and prey upon travellers anymore. Pay us. And we offer you safe passage. And it's a matter of, oh, you know, that actually might be useful. Because they know the desert better than anyone else. So it's like some kind of storm sort of whips up, or there's some kind of dangerous situation as to where, oh shit, problem in the desert. You might actually expect help from the Tuscans instead of them preying upon you. Like, wow. I like how they've done that. That's cute. That's actually quite clever because it's a matter of the Tuscans were like, in the first instance, like just in Star Wars as all, they're just savages from the desert. And because they've been so memorable in that they've had an effect, as you know, the Tuscans are quite creepy when you saw Star Wars as a kid, as to where that first one just appears from nowhere, like, ooh. And it's like, it's been added, it's like a story that's been added to. Loads of passes have been done at the Tuscans. And because of the nature of it being Star Wars, so, well, these guys have got laser guns. I'm like, all right, okay. So they're kind of part of the world. And as to where they've kidnapped Shmi. And it's like, I don't get that, actually. It's like, they all just, and it's like, like some idiot Tuscan made a decision one day to kidnap someone. And these local sort of family, like those Tuscan motherfuckers, have gone out there all guns blazing and turned it into a thing where if they'd have, in the first instance, had maybe a Jedi, right, someone with muscle, as to say, I've come to sort this out. And it's like, what makes you think you can sort it out? Aggressive negotiation. What does that mean? Yeah, have you ever seen one of these before? It's called a lightsaber. So if you've seen this trick and you do that saber throw where you get it to knock something down and then draw it back and be like, let's talk about this hostage situation. And it could become just a matter of us to say, right, what will you swap for her? And we're done. And if these guys find it acceptable to pay us a fucking ransom, business complete. Can you understand that? But it's like, I see that as, you know, they're in the story as to where Anakin's history with the Tuscans. But because when he was a child, and this is a thing that's in the novelizations, are they canon anymore? I don't know, but the novelisation of The Phantom Menace is a much better story than the movie. Strangely. Movie, there's too much in it, but it's a big book. So you read it and it's like a big book, and it's like, you read this big book and it's like, there's a lot in this. It's like, if they're going to put this into a movie and you watch the movie and it's like, this seems a bit like rushed and there's too much going on. And it's got long slow bits where it's trying to explain things to you and it's like, oh, it explains it right well in the book. There's in the novelisation of The Phantom Menace, Anakin Skywalker's ability to mend things in that shop is explained. And it's actually, he's a genius with bits and pieces, but it goes to great lengths to discuss that he's able to trade. He trades with the Tuscans. As a kid. It's like they've got all sorts of stuff. And we can just trade anything. You know, they'll always take things like the basic power stuff and batteries and lamps. You know, things like that anyone would want and need. You can go out, and if you're friendly enough with the Tuscans, they'll let you look through the stuff that they've salvaged in the desert, and amongst it, gold. Went to great lengths to discuss that young Anakin was able to actually communicate, or he spoke the same language, let's say, as the Tuscans, as to he understood them. Little kid. And they were right with him because he brought them the good stuff, and to them, you know, like a hyperdrive motivator is not worth anything at all. So anything he can bring to them is a wow, free shit. All we had to do was bring it here, and that kid gave us useful things in exchange for absolute crap. Ha! Thanks, kid. Come back anytime. So it's like the Tuscans have got values that can be, understood. It's like they're not an animal. Never were. Just very few people had taken the trouble to find out what was going on with them. Now, in The Mandalorian, he's able to communicate with them. There'd be something to that as to where it's because he knew a lot about being a Mandalorian, the Mandalorian. He knew more about being a Mandalorian than Boba Fett ever will. He's just a Mandalorian because he's a clone of one. And it's only so simple as knowing that secret as to this was an ocean. This planet had oceans once. And then people remember, in their stories, they're the descendants of people who survived a terrible cataclysm on Tatooine, and that there was seas and oceans. It's like these people in nowhere. They're not animals, these are humans who ended up on the wrong end of a disaster, yet survived. So if you respect them, and actually could learn to admire them for their ability to have survived the place becoming Tatooine, right? It's like, wow, they've got a deep culture, a deep discipline, something to behold. And it's like, Mandalorian, just knowing that secret history of the Tuscans, because Mandalorian, our culture is a lot older than all this crap of the Republic, and things like that. Even beginning of what would be like the Jedi or the Mandalorian. Just like they've been around for a long time and they know a thing or two. As to where him being someone who knows about Mandalorian because he's like in almost a religious sect of it. As to where it'd be amongst those people with the sort of knowledge of battle, because they're like total warriors. They're not just good at fighting, they're strategic. They're a race that, thinks they could take the galaxy by conquest at certain times. The Mandalorians. So they're like genius generals. And the secret to, it's kind of like Dune in my estimation, but the secret to successful communication with the Tuscans would be to treat them with respect in view of who they really are. The indigenous population of a planet that's fucking changed into a desert planet and hasn't always been one. So it's a matter of, in the Star Wars mythos, the reins to potentially make something of the Tuscans have always been there in its storytelling. They've always been like, it's like, there's something worth knowing about these people. And the tools in order to sell a story where Boba becomes one of them, and they're like, oh shit, he's taught us, he's brought in light from the new world. It's like, guy turned up out of the desert one day, I get that they're like, this guy, they're like, oh, Boba, so what a lad. How about Boba? It's like, yeah, how a lad Boba. It's like, WARLORD protects us from them fucking outers. Yeah, Boba, drink to Boba, one of us. Like, we found him, right, having crawled out of a fucking dead Sarlacc. What? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, he saw it. Like, the desert couldn't kill him. Spewed onto the ground out of fucking one of the nastiest, most horrible beasties that lives underground. There's a callback to the episode of Mandalorian where the other Mandalorian armor is when the Boba Fett aspect came into the Mandalorian as to that crate dragon had made a home in a dead Sarlacc pit. It's like, Sarlacc's lived for like 1 million years. It's like, a dead one? Yeah. It's like, him having killed that fucker and it not being, something that was, able to fucking defend itself. Some fucking crate dragon find that and it'd be like a source of grub, wouldn't it? Just a source of food that it could just gnaw on for fucking ages and ages and ages and then start venturing out. So it's like, after Boba killed the Sarlacc, a fucking crate dragon found it and scoffed it and lived in the hole that it lived in, lived in the pit. Made a home of the pit, having ate it. And then, having got so kind of fat and used to it, because it had like the meal of the century over however long, eating that fucker, it then starts venturing out and snatching people's fucking livestock. So what's happened to this crate as to where it's become like Jaws? It's like, you want to ask Boba. Well, it's like, it came to it one day where it was like, okay, Sarlacc pit versus Boba Fett. It's like, if Boba wants to live, sorry, Sarlacc pit, lost. It's like a larger force of nature hit the Sarlacc pit. Well, I ain't died. If I think fast here, I can kill this with all the fucking weapons I've got on me. It's like, if I think quick here. So there's a brilliant, I think this might have gone somewhere, there's a brilliant psychological sort of attack in The Expanse. Something that Amos said to some guys who were trying to shake down some passengers for taxis in this compartment of spaceship, like a ferry. And Amos is a passenger, and then these two just innocent people who were just on the way to the moon to looking to find some work. And these gangsters come in. And they've got measures on a ship like that as to where they can like flood compartments with gas and kill people and use it to restrain others. So gas, you know, actual knockout gas is like the primary weapon as to anyone who wants to muscle anyone on one of them ferry ships. That's how they deal with them. That's how security deals with things. So when the security guards come in asking for money, he just out of nowhere gets talking. He says, "You know what, once." And he gets talking about a repair job he did as to he was in like a radiation cloud in a ship, you know, near a reactor when he's been working as a mechanic and something's gone pop. And it's like, that stuff, it's like if you get it on you, it's bad, but you'll be alright. It's like, you know, wash it off. But if you breathe it in, it's like you've had it. And he had to like complete a repair job to stop it, and then so it's like he tells a tale about the time he got away. And these guys are like, what's this got to do with anything? And Amos says, well, it taught me that I can hold my breath for a good 2 minutes in situations as to where I'm under a great deal of physical stress. And he says, just imagine how much damage I can do to you before the gas knocks me out. Now back off. You're taking no money off these people. It's like, you know, you're messing with it. Oh yeah. Do you know who you're messing with? What crew are you with? The Rocinante. Never heard of it. He says, oh, you have? I'm just a little bit out of context here. And these guys are like, okay. And Amos's ace in the hole is, he doesn't like people like that. Not that, oh, these people are going to come after you. And it's like, these are the guys like, what have you done talking like that? Those people are going to come after you. It's like, I'm banking on it. I fucking hate people like that. I'm going to take great delight and pleasure when they come at me, giving them the beating of their lifetime and leaving them fucking crippled. Well, that thought he put in their head, like, think of how much damage I could do to you in the 2 minutes I can hold my breath before that gas gets to me. Just think about it. For the only backup you've got to stop me can get here, I'll have fucking killed you 5 times over. Horrible badasses, Airbus. Now back the fuck off. I'm like, how much damage could Boba Fett do if he could hold his breath for 2 minutes in the belly of the Sarlacc pit? It didn't show it, but it's like, there might have been a few grenades on that. It's like, well, right, okay, if I toss this kind of away from myself, knowing that my Mandalorian armour will probably absorb most of the shit, he could have set off anything in there, couldn't he? Or he could basically have burnt his way out. It's like, Boba Fett might have a better flamethrower than Mando has, because Mando's really only works as a one-off, doesn't it? And it goes, it doesn't really hold a lot of gas, but, you know, Boba's might. We had to kill a Sarlacc, climb out of it, and then get to the top. It's like, it's a fucking feat. Well, you know, in them 2 minutes of how much could you do if your life depended on it? To me, it's a hilarious thought exercise. Certainly when you think of Amos. He is He's a good killer, Amos. He's one of my favourite characters now in fiction. Is Amos Burton. I think he's really interesting. Like, oh, you've worked a few things out, have you? Oh God, no. Oh dear. Who do you think you're dealing with? Oh, you're one of them kind of guys. Okay. Right. You want people in life. It's a funny old thing. I can't get past that, right? Here's one for you. There's a class of human, right? And the movies don't generally get it right when they do it. They do it in old movies. Brendan Gleeson's character in Braveheart, the big ginger fella who's like his best mate who'd known him for a kid, and he stands next to him as his main guy. An equal, but it's like, well, you're the boss, I'm the fucking muscle. It's like, I'm blind muscle, a weapon, and you keep me straight. If I kill who you say that I should kill, well, it means I'm alright for killing him, doesn't it? It's like, that person's not allowed to exist in the world, is he? I'll kill them for you. Right? They're not supposed to exist, but in fiction, they don't use them often enough. And when you get one that pops up as to where he's this guy's killer, he trusts this guy's judgment as to say those who he sends to kill. Had he fucking come in and can usually has to work out or tell him why. That you need to get rid of this guy. Okay. Boom. It's like, people like that, they don't like to talk about the fact that they exist. And it's like, but in the Star Wars universe, you can talk about them. You can talk about them in the Wild West, and you can talk about them in the future. In the Expanse, you can talk about, well, this guy's actually, he doesn't mind killing people. You've been surrounded with so much death and lost so much and been introduced to it so early in life that it's a matter of, it's just a bunch of unpaid bills. And that weapon is a thing that can get out of control if it's not under the guidance of someone who it can trust. And it's like, there's some bad guys who should be on, you should want them on your side. When push comes to shove in the great struggle of the human, experience of not so much now as all of history. So you need people to look out for it. And it's like, Boba Fett, you wouldn't want to be at war with him, would you? You'd want to be in a war with him. Have him on the same team as you. Regardless of he's not you, you know what I mean? He's not like you. He's got a different set of moral values about what he does. It's like, to him, it's like, I've been a trained killer since I was in the crib. Same with the Mandalorian. An honourable killer. Well, you pay me and I'll go and kill him. Send me to kill someone. As opposed to let me decide who needs to die. As I say, you let Amos off the chain in the Expanse, you just let him off the chain. It's like he's no longer got Holden to be his boss. And he goes away on holiday, and what's the first thing he does? Finds people that he'd like to kick the fuck out of, and he's sure to start a beef with them that leads to a fight, just so he can kick their asses all over the place and teach them a fucking proper lesson. And it's like, gets to it where he ends up on a killing spree in the name of survival, Amos. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, well, we just murdered this guy for his supplies. Stole his house. Stole his vehicle. We're eating his food now. And I didn't think it were problem. I thought it was like just an acceptable risk. We either get away with it or we don't. It's ain't no problem. It's like, okay, the guy's dead, but look at all this stuff we got. And then he says, I need to get back to Holden. It's like, I'm going too far now. It's like once he hears himself say, oh, well, you know, it's like, this is why that nasty killer needs to be, you know, with his mate he trusts to keep him on a lead. It's a thing. Yeah. There is that, you know. It's like, it reminds me of school. There are certain hierarchies, aren't there, for, amongst sort of people in that regard, as to where, why'd you have this guy hanging around with you? You're like, he's a bit, and you're like, if push comes to shove, he'd take a knife for you. Oh, that's why he's a mate. Yeah. It's part of me that always will have the utmost respect for fighting people. Warriors, you know, the warriors. And they keep it under a lid by like going to work. Understanding a thing or two about a repercussion in this situation. But it's like, if you remove repercussion, like not losing your job and stuff like that, there are those who would just be flat out just warriors. Nah. Loads of them. You get to talking to them and they just talk about fighting all the time. That's what Drew is. That's why I said, when I take over the world, I'm going to make you my minister of violence. Because you fucking, you know, that's like, you're good at it. You think about it all the time. You're a warrior. You're just thinking about war all the time. Like, fine. It's like, yeah, there's a place for you people like you. In the real push and shove of what the world is, it's like, nah, you're better having people like that around. Always. Yeah, the world's safer because of them. You see, that's the thing. The book of Boba Fett, right? The temptation would be to write something about like the fucking Godfather. Isn't it? But in view of the fact that, you know, Boba appeared back in The Mandalorian fighting like a Tuscan. And it's like, okay, so that was a big setup, wasn't it? It's, you know, it's how they play it. So he fights like a big Tuscan. Gets his ship back. Having already reclaimed his ship. And he'd be like, oh God, Boba appears to be fucking up and running. And has found himself a, what's the word? Killer. Fennec. Fennec's a killer. She's a contract killer. So it's like, she's perfectly understandable. So yeah, you'll do. Would you like to work for me? Would you like to? It's like, I'll never send you after anyone that hasn't got it coming. So you'll be fighting other warriors. I won't send you to kill women and children and things like that, and kidnap fucking people's kids. And no work like that. You just kill people who are in the game of killing. It's black on black. Work for me. Fine. Like killers, it's like killers. It's like, fine, don't kill me. It's like, but I know a few people who like need killing. You know, and hence the relationship between, you know, Boba Fett and Fennec, or any sort of core of any kind of real fucking dirty, nasty fucking earning spree will always start with that, isn't it? Where I know someone I can send round who would be happy to kick all their asses, and it'd be like, oh, we can earn off that. Yeah, it's got me thinking about the. You know, the push and the shove of the you know, the underworld. As to just to watch Boba Fett go out and earn it, and I'm like, he's earning it. It's like, yeah, he's taken a gangster throne. He's called himself a demo. I've got a muscle. What? Oh yeah, I've made friends with the Tuscans. Really? Oh yeah. Well, all of them? Yeah. And there's a new arrangement in place that's enforced with actual muscle. And you're like, oh. So you've actually, you've taken over commerce in between all the cities and places on Tatooine. Yep, we've put a tax on the roads. What? And people are paying it. See what that could be? Just the gift of knowledge. Seen in the mind of the Tuscan as this guy's just pulled off the fucking magic spell, having been spewed out of, you know, having crawled out of a Sarlacc pit. That's funny. I mean it's like so grandiose. As to say, you know, because he just walks in and says, look, I've took over this planet, it's mine. Pay. And it's like, I don't think you've took over it. It's like, oh, I have. I have. If you test me, you'll find out how. How. And then you'll know. So like that, telling that putting that backstory in where it did is to, well, hang on a minute. This place is fucking sparse. There's no one here. There's no big fucking party going on at Jabba's palace. It's just a few people. It's just a couple of guards and likely some cooks and chefs and shit we don't see that off screen. Droids. Like, who's he to say? And other than a great big fucking building in the middle of nowhere, what revenue is Jabba's fucking palace, you know, accumulating? What the fuck is it other than a ruin out in the middle of the desert? If there's no fucking money coming in, it's like you can't just take the palace and sit in a great big fucking great out. What do you take, right? You take a castle, right? It's not being guarded. It's not being guarded. It's like a castle, and you take it, and then you get on Twitter and you put out and say, right, I've taken the castle. I want everyone to turn up, pay tribute. What? Well, it's like I've got right to it. Why? Well, I've taken the castle. And it's like I claim the throne by conquest. I've took it. So, but the place wasn't defended. It's like a National Trust site. Like, that's not my problem. That's something you've got to sort out. I've taken the seat by conquest. Now turn up and pay me some tribute. So what happens is someone retweets your shit to the police and they come and they're like, right, get out of that place. You've taken a stately home and claiming to be Lord of the land and you're demanding a tax. Fuck off. We're going to arrest you. And you're like, do you think I'm stupid? What? Oh, I took it by conquest, it's mine. And then next thing you know, you've only got an army of fucking Tuscan Raiders. Like, right, okay, now tell me I don't run the place. It's fun to me. It's a good story to tell. It's like, this place is a banana republic. Let's take over it. You'll never say that.